Seoul, South Korea. In a matter of minutes, two names, Taehyung and Jungkook, turned social media into a global stage. From Seoul's buzzing digital screens to the streets of São Paulo and the cafes of Paris, their presence was inescapable. Every interaction, every fleeting glance between them seemed to ripple outward, sparking headlines far beyond South Korea. The result was not just trending hashtags, but a cultural wave spanning continents. Observers say it is proof that BTS's influence endures even during their hiatus. Clips of the duo flooded platforms like Twitter, TikTok, and Instagram. Within hours, hashtags tied to Taehyung and Jungkook reached millions. Fans shared translations, edits, and commentary, turning seconds of content into global conversation. The cycle was familiar yet more powerful than ever. This was not just fandom activity. It was a worldwide event. Analysts in Seoul note the phenomenon reflects BTS's unusual bond with ARMY. Few artists in history have such immediacy of impact, said Professor Lee Ji-hoon of Yonsei University. He added that the rapid amplification of their names demonstrates how digital fandom redefines celebrity. For Taehyung and Jungkook, timelines have become arenas of connection. But they are also spaces of intense scrutiny. International media joined the frenzy quickly. CNN described their trending presence as a cultural flashpoint, not a coincidence. The Guardian called it proof of fandom's power to rewrite global headlines overnight. Japanese broadcaster NHK highlighted how Taehyung and Jungkook dominate discussion even without official promotions. The coverage underscored how timelines themselves have become battlegrounds for attention. Fans, too, framed the moment as more than entertainment. To many, it was a sign of resilience. Proof that BTS remains relevant despite military service. Even when they're not on stage, they own the timeline, wrote one fanbase on Twitter. Others saw it as a challenge to HYBE, demanding fairer promotion for both idols. The trending wave thus carried both celebration and critique. Financial observers pointed to the ripple effects on HYBE's stock. Trading activity spiked as Taehyung and Jungkook trended globally. Streaming numbers for their solo projects rose in parallel. Analysts warned that reliance on viral waves could make the market volatile. But they also acknowledged it as a unique strength of BTS's brand. Psychologists, however, urged caution. The constant visibility may blur lines between private life and public narrative. When every glance becomes global news, the weight of expectation grows, explained Dr. Park Min-seo, a clinical psychologist in Seoul. She warned that artists might feel trapped by narratives beyond their control. For Taehyung and Jungkook, the spotlight is both opportunity and burden. Cultural critics say the trending moments reveal deeper truths about K-pop. It is not only the music that travels, but the stories fans build around their idols. Taehyung and Jungkook have become symbols of connection, intimacy, and authenticity. But they are also reminders of how fragile that intimacy can be when magnified globally. The timeline becomes a mirror, reflecting devotion, speculation, and division alike. For ARMY, the phenomenon carried emotional weight. Fans described their joy at seeing Taehyung and Jungkook together. At the same time, many worried about the narratives imposed on them. The discussions were passionate, at times divisive, but always deeply personal. It was proof that BTS's bond with fans is unlike any other. Ultimately, the question lingers. Why do Taehyung and Jungkook dominate timelines so completely? Experts argue it is because they embody more than stardom. They represent a cultural moment. Their names are shorthand for connection in an age of digital fragmentation. Their presence transforms fleeting moments into global stories. And from Seoul to the world, that story shows no sign of ending. Observers in Seoul say the repeated dominance of Taehyung and Jungkook in global timelines highlights a shift in media power. Once controlled by traditional outlets, narratives are now shaped directly by fans. This democratization of influence allows ordinary people to turn fleeting clips into worldwide headlines. For HYBE, the challenge is to manage this uncontrollable wave without alienating fans. By choosing silence, the company avoids fueling speculation but risks accusations of neglect. Analysts argue that transparency, even if limited, may be the only way to protect credibility in the long run. Financial analysts continue to monitor how social media trends translate into market behavior. When Taehyung and Jungkook dominate the conversation, streaming numbers surge and stock prices fluctuate. While this volatility brings short-term gains, it also highlights the fragility of investor confidence tied to fandom activity. International brands tied to the two idols are also taking notice. Luxury fashion houses and global advertisers benefit whenever their names trend, but they remain cautious. A sudden wave of controversy could easily overshadow a carefully planned campaign, making brand partnerships more delicate than ever. Psychologists stress that the global attention places unique pressure on both idols. Taehyung and Jungkook's every action, whether personal or professional, is dissected by millions. The result is a loss of privacy, even in ordinary moments, which can affect emotional well-being and long-term mental health. In Japan, media commentators describe the phenomenon as a digital empire built by fans. They argue that Taehyung and Jungkook are no longer simply artists but cultural symbols. This symbolic weight, however, makes them lightning rods for speculation, criticism, and devotion simultaneously. Meanwhile, Western outlets like The Guardian and CNN focus on the wider cultural implications. They frame Taehyung and Jungkook's trending power as evidence of fandom's role in rewriting entertainment norms. In this view, ARMY is no longer an audience but a co-producer of global narratives. Within ARMY, debates rage over the meaning of constant visibility. Some fans celebrate it as proof of enduring global relevance, while others worry it risks overshadowing BTS as a group. The internal division demonstrates both the passion and the complexity of a fandom that spans continents. Analysts warn that these dynamics could shape BTS's post-military future. When the group reunites, fan expectations may be influenced by years of TaeKook-centric attention. Balancing solo identities with collective unity will be critical to sustaining their cultural dominance. At the same time, critics caution against reducing BTS's legacy to social media trends. They stress that artistry, music, and storytelling remain at the core of the group's success. Timelines are powerful, but music is permanent, said Professor Han Soo-jin of Seoul National University. For South Korea's entertainment industry, the Taehyung-Jungkook effect serves as both opportunity and warning. It proves the economic and cultural value of global fandom, but also exposes the lack of structures to manage narratives responsibly. The industry now faces pressure to adapt quickly. Lawmakers in Seoul are beginning to consider stronger protections against digital exploitation. Following repeated Saeseon controversies, proposals for enhanced privacy laws are gaining traction. The TaeKook case has been cited in debates as an example of how global attention magnifies local problems. In Europe, cultural critics see the phenomenon as part of a larger trend in celebrity culture. They argue that fans no longer consume idols passively but actively shape and contest their images. Taehyung and Jungkook, they say, embody the new logic of participatory fame. Investors, however, worry that over-reliance on volatile fan trends could backfire. Markets respond to stability, not unpredictability, explained Tokyo-based analyst Ryo Watanabe. If speculation grows too dominant, he warned, it could reduce long-term confidence in entertainment companies. For fans themselves, the issue is emotional. Many see protecting Taehyung and Jungkook as a duty, ensuring they are celebrated as artists rather than reduced to marketing tools. This protective instinct reflects the depth of ARMY's bond, but also the fragility of trust with agencies.